right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Free. A Journey into the Inner Self, 2023. This is going to be the Catholic documentary. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was pretty decent. I love the cinematography. Some of the monks are more articulate than others. The nuns are just not articulate. They're just talking from the perspective of a woman's love for Christ. But I don't see them imitating God too much. I saw a brief look at some Gregorian chant at the end, and I thought, wow. And then one of the priests, he was a total satanic heavy metal dude, dabbling in the occult and whatnot. I'm sure we've all been there as a young rebellious person, fighting against all forms of authority, including God himself. And his mother kept praying for the dude, and he entered the monastery when he was 18. It's very similar to the story of Father Isaac Mary Relay. He thought he was going to die in a motorcycle accident, and he ended up becoming a Franciscan priest who goes to SSPX to do missions and stuff. He was part of the Fatima Center. Of course, my pastor doesn't like Father Gruner, but whatever Father Gruner said, the math doesn't add up with the with the Holocaust in Germany. So that got him in trouble, among other things. Father Gruner. Anyways, this one's original title is called Libres, translation Free, 2023, an hour 48 minutes. It's too long. They should have just weeded out the poor the less articulate, I should say, people inside the monastery. Do I really need to know that a nun is cleaning the toilets and doing other menial work? I mean, is that really necessary? I'd rather see some Gregorian chants, some more of that. So I can't give it 5 out of the 5 stars, especially in the beginning where they put up Jorge Mario Bergoglio's name. And then at one point they mention Saint Teresa. But the heavy metal dude, he keeps talking about St. Paul. I like this guy. And I like the other monk who talks about Jesus' new commandment, love everyone as I have loved you. I don't think my parochial vicar understands that. He just thinks love everyone means love your fellow Catholic or something. I have no idea what he's talking about sometimes, but I do listen to him in the confessional because I learned a lot from him about what's not a sin, what's a tiny sin, what is a big sin, that sort of thing, which doesn't make sense to me at all. So I'm relying on him to teach me the catechism, because the teachings of the church are not always church doctrine or the magisterium, and they're kind of questionable, to be honest. Especially when you talk to an abolitionist about menial versus mortal sin, they'll look at you and go, huh? Anyways, gets a whopping 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 145 ratings. Journey into the interior men through the lives of people who have given themselves completely to a cloistered life of prayer. Maybe I should become a nun. I've been living like a monk for the last 13 years. Libres dua in altum? Altum? Part of my French, or part of my Latin, excuse me. Pretty cool looking movie poster. I like the beginning where the barefoot monk is walking along the beach there. Cool looking Spanish beach, beautiful cinematography, couple of decent monks who definitely fit the scenario of living with the cross, living a true Catholic life. This has one award win and 2 nominations total. It's not a great flick. Like I said, it does get boring at parts when you're listening to the less articulate folks in this one. Here's a review from Ma Cortez. Gives it the exact same rating as mine. 8 out of 10. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. All right. This was nominated for Cinema Writers Circle Award Spain 2024 nominee, SEC Award, Best Documentary, Mejor Documental, Santos Blanco. This won the International Film Music Critics Award, IFMCA. Oh, I'm sorry. This was another nominee. It didn't win. 2024 nominee, IFMCA Award, Best Original Score for a Documentary, Oscar M. Leon's Barutia. Then you've got 2023 winner, the Movie Music International Recognition Awards, Best Score for a Documentary Film, Oscar M. Leonis Barutia, the composer. So Leonis Barutia got nominated for 2 awards, and he won one of them. That's sort of interesting, I guess. Only has 145 ratings on IMDb. Somewhat obscure. So when I do these Catholic documentaries, we're looking for the super obscure stuff that nobody has seen. I just forwarded this to my spiritual director, sort of long distance spiritual director. Father Emmanuel Charles McCarthy and his sidekick Ellen Finnegan, who runs Catholics Against Militantism, some kind of kids' school for writing, I guess. I don't know. She's a very interesting middle-aged white woman. I'd like to get to know her better, but oh well. I think she's in Denver, which is kind of far from San Francisco. I wonder if I'll ever get to meet her in person. The weird thing was that I was at a funeral on Tuesday. One of the Filipinos there with Knights of Columbus, his wife gave birth to their 9th kid, and the kid ended up dying within 3 hours, and the doctors were begging her to get an abortion the whole time, and she refused. She stood up for her Catholic principles. So I went to the funeral, and it was great. My son was hanging out with his altar server buddies. He was having a great time. Then he cut his finger on a piece of plastic. He was squirting blood all over the place, and his mother started freaking out, taking him to the urgent care. All they did was put a little skin glue on, and now he can't swim for a week. I never had skin glue when I was a kid. What is this skin glue stuff? Anyways, it stopped bleeding, and she still took him to the urgent care. Unbelievable. Well, here's a review from Ma Cortez, free 2023. Ma Cortez gives it an 8 out of 10. Ma Cortez says, an excellent documentary showing a sensitive religious portrait about faith and sacrifice. Oh, very good. Very well said, Ma Cortez. This is dated April 1st, 2024. Within 3 weeks, Ma Cortez posts a review on IMDb. And we're here to read it for you aloud. This documentary film allows us to know what leads a person in the 21st century to decide to lock themselves in within 4 walls for the rest of their life. What is their day-to-day life like? Their motivations, their connection to pure nature and exterior life, which has a lot to do with their interior life. A very good documentary that shows us the journey into the interior of men and women through the lives of people who have completely given themselves over to a cloistered life of prayer. The human being is a perfect symbiosis of body, mind, and soul. For centuries, many men and women have left everything to give their lives to contemplation. This documentary manages to enter and speak through detailed interviews with people who rarely speak a word and places that remain closed to the world, the cloistered monasteries. How come I didn't see any cloistered nuns who are not allowed to say a single word? I guess they'd be using sign language, or not even that. How could a cloistered nun communicate? I don't know. I guess they don't. Completely made by Carlos Blanco and with an enjoyable script by Javier Lorenzo, it is divided in 3 chapters: path, truth, and life. I think I like the life section of it. The truth is kind of boring. Started to get distracted. And the path was good. So I'd say skip Truth and just watch Path and Life. It is tremendously spiritual film, being full of good feelings concerning the severity of the cloistered people, their moving sacrifice and pleasant relationships between monks and nuns. It describes his simple and austere existence. Splendid documentary that is presented as a film about the contemplative life, but what it is really about is the Christian life. The best scenes are those in which the priests and nuns appear working, praying, and fulfilling their duties under pleasant religious music filled with spiritual and Gregorian. Oh, we love Gregorian chants. Oh, let me tell you, when I had that belligerent, well, let's just say when it was noisy upstairs, the Gregorian chants made it and the ashwagandha root made it possible for me to fall asleep at night. Without that, I could have never ever fallen asleep during the nighttime with all that noise going on upstairs. People trying to sell the house, people coming from New York, high as a kite on Lord knows what, and just screaming and shouting and all kinds of, I don't know. I better not say anything because I'm going to court pretty soon, but I think it was just intended to get some kind of bad reaction out of me, which never happened, of course. I just kind of ignored them like my church pastor did for 2 years. Now he's starting to like me somewhat. He actually calls me by my name instead of my son's name. And I guess he's willing to accept that we have different political positions, which is unusual for him because he's pro-life. He's wearing the ideological blinders, of course, like all the pro-lifers at that parish. They don't worship God. They worship the Republican Party. Anyways, I got sidetracked here. What counts is how the encounter with God makes life fully human. It is not a film for professionals of a religious life, but for people who can no longer bear the emptiness of a materialistic life full of unfulfilled promises. In fact, many of the monks or nuns involved have ended up in the monastery after an intense life of searching in the world. This is the case of a monk of English origin who, after a difficult childhood, became a great artist in New York, married an opera singer, and had a daughter. But he remained dissatisfied. His brother committed suicide, as did his father and his father-in-law. His encounter with Christ revealed true beauty to him, and he decided to give his life to him in prayer and in the work of a monastery. This guy is really good. He knows his stuff. The artist from New York. I was impressed by this guy. He's definitely on the top of the spiritual ladder, so to speak. I would compare Libre's 2023 to the fictional French film Des Hommes et des Dieux, 2010 by Xavier Borovas, another religious film that invites reflection on the nuns and priests in Catholic monasteries who live a severe existence threatened by terrorists, in this case, Algerian rebels. Stunning camera work from photographer Carlos de la Rosa. We like the cinematography here. It is quite stunning. Showing colorful places, he introduces us, among other locations, to the Benedictine communities of the monasteries of Leer, Navarra, and the Valley of the Fallen in Madrid, to the community of the Cistercian nuns of the monastery of Las Huelgas, Burgos, of the Cistercian monks of the Oseria, Orense, in the Oblate Convent of Christ the Priest in Madrid, or in the Trappist community of San Pedro de Cardeña in Burgos, and the unique experience of the Calma Dolis hermits of the Yermo de Nostra Senora de Herrera, Burgos. The film was well directed by debutante Santos Blanco and produced by Bosco Films and Variopinto Producciones. Pretty decent film for a documentary. I have to admit the middle part was boring, and I didn't care for some of the interviews. I think they could have cut out the less compelling characters. For instance, they could have cut out the nuns altogether and just stuck to the those two monks that I mentioned. Those guys are for real. I mean, they are living the life of the cross. No question about it. And this one guy, he had a complete turnaround. He went from worshiping the devil to worshiping the cross. And all he thinks about now is the cross. It is so awesome. Such an invigorating character. But then they go and interview someone else, and you're like, oh man, this is not interesting at all. Release date April 21st, 2023 in Spain, country of origin Spain. There's an official website. Let's see if it's a pop-up. Anyways, language Spanish, also known as Libres. Yeah, there is a pop-up of the official website. Production companies Bosco Films and Variopinto Producciones. Box office gross worldwide, $628,583. I wonder how much it cost to produce. Doesn't say here. You got to get IMDb Pro for detailed box office info. Runtime at an hour 48 minutes is too long. They could have cut out like maybe 35 minutes or so in the middle. Color aspect ratio 2.39 to 1. The sound was decent. I don't know. They could have incorporated more Gregorian chants, and they could have interviewed the two monks that I mentioned in more detail. I think that. So you go to the website and you see the monk who used to be a Satanist. He's just outside staring at nature, and wow. Everything's in Spanish, this website. The website address is libreslapelicula.com. If you speak Spanish and you want to peruse through the Spanish website. I took Spanish in high school, but I forgot 95% of it probably. I just know the basic stuff to get by, I guess. Anyways, I'm just a dumb gringo when it comes to speaking Spanish. I'm like my son trying to learn Latin. All right. What do we have coming down the pike? Karate Man and Adrian don't like my new list because it includes Catholic documentaries. But actually, it was a suggestion of my parochial vicar, and he said, oh, by the way, it's in the church bulletin that you never read, namely the website form.org, where I've been getting my last two documentaries. The first documentary I watched was not enjoyable at all. This one was mostly enjoyable, but again, the middle part started to really bore me. All right, next up on my list is Captain Kidd, 1945. Then we got Crank, 2006. And if Crank 2006 is anything like Crank 2, High Voltage, then I'll be in for a real treat at number 2. I'm looking forward to that, actually. Although it doesn't have Bai Ling in it, probably. My Kevin Costner. Then we've got number 3, Marked for Death, 1990. Those are the next 3 coming down the pike. No Australian mates in the chat room for the last 5 days. They got sick and tired of my videos, and now they're gone. Finito. But fortunately, I've got Jeff Jaffe posting comments on my Hitchcock videos. Good old Jeff Jaffe is hanging in there. I can expect to get some comments from him this weekend. If I can find time to watch movies. I've got I've got an MRI Saturday morning, followed by an appointment with my lawyer to go over deposition that I have on Monday, which I'm taking the day off. Thank God. I've been working myself hard at work, trying to make up for yesterday's funeral, the one that I mentioned to you earlier, where my son actually got to serve the altar for High Mass. It was amazing. There was a High Mass, and then the funeral was also in Latin. Unbelievable. It was a great funeral. Let me just put it to you that way. And the priest, the pastor didn't say anything about the Filipino dude's patriotism for the flag of the U.S. He just said they're uncompromising when it comes to abortion. Under no circumstance will they ever get an abortion after having 8 or 9 kids. Walugi is in the chat room. He says, Walugi says, crazy. Yeah, I've got 5 people in the chat room all of a sudden. All right. We're attracting some new fans to the channel. Welcome, Walugi. All my Australian pals are Terra Incognita. Oh, now it's down to 2 again. Well, nice talking to you, Walugi. I'm going to go take a little nappy poo, catch up on a little sleep, and then maybe I'll do Captain Kidd 1945 on Friday night. Ooh, 6 people in the chat room. Okay, good night, Walugi. Tell me what you think about Free, A Journey into the Inner Self in the comments section. Thanks very much, and have a good night.